Hello everyone, my name is Narendra Kumar. You are watching to Enterslice YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss how to set up company in Canada, and not just set up. We will be also discussing about the compliance requirement, taxation. If you are resident of India or anywhere in the world willing to register company in Canada, then the best choice is that you should have a right consultant, right partner to form your company. In this regard, we have our local partner, Mr. Harpreet Singh. He is expert of Canadian law, and he will explain you about how to set up company. And we will be discussing. There are numbers of requirements. There are numbers of confusion that he is going to clear to our audience. And over to Harpreet. Welcome to our channel, and we are
Thank you.
glad to have you. So first of all, we would like to know what are the structure available for non-resident investor if they are willing to set up company in Canada, and then we'll move on to the next question.
Right. Thank you, Narendra. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to explain to your audiences. So first of all, there is a particular difference between the incorporations. So we are talking about two set of corporations. One is provincial level, like a state level, as we are if we are talking about Indian context. Then there is federal level, at the national level. So in case of federal level, there are more requirements, kind of residency status of the members, or whosoever will be the shareholder. So they are stipulating at least 25% of your directors should be resident. So let's say if there are four directors, then one should be resident of Canada. But in case of provincial, like if we are talking specifically of Ontario, so they have lifted that provision already, a few years back. So now there's no residency requirements in case of if you're registering or incorporating your business in Ontario. So being a non-resident, you can incorporate your business in Ontario and do whatever you want to do while sitting, abroad. That's fine. That's still workable in Ontario. But as far as federal level is concerned, you have to have some kind of tie-up and some kind of relationship in Canada.
Understood.
So yeah.
So what structure you suggest for non-resident? They should go for LLC, or is there any other option for foreigners? How basically this works?
So I would say let's say if being a non-resident, you would like to have a startup in Canada and having your own setup, let's say in which industry, it doesn't matter which industry you want to have a setup. So I would say you should go for a provincial registration first. And once you will have a setup, let's say you have some kind of, it's not any kind of restriction while doing in business. You can do business across Canada. The only thing is there are limitations while doing business in different provinces. You have to still comply with the provincial regulations. You have to report those things to the province back after having annual, every year end, every fiscal year end. You have to report back to the province. Okay, this is what we have done, and it's an annual information update, where your business currently located, who are your directors, and all such details. It's that, but that won't impact your business activity, your serving area. You can serve across Canada.
Okay, so as a provincial company, can I also serve to foreigners? Let's say, can I render services to US, Europe, India?
Yeah.
So is there a limitation in export of services?
No, there is no limitation. As far as this corporation is concerned, it's you are having a setup in Canada. It's in a province, and province can deal, a provincial corporation can deal all across globe. There's no restriction being a non-resident director. Your company is a resident of Canada, and it's legally set up in your province, and they can have their business tie-up across the globe, anywhere in the world. There's no restriction. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. And what are the types of company? What structure you suggest for it?
So the structure would be more or less in India we are having different a limited company, which is having their listed shares on stock markets and all such stuff, and there's a private company in which shares are not listed. But in Canada in particular, they never they did not differentiate in these. You can have your company with the name of limited, you can have your company with the name of incorporation. It's just like surname. Okay. So you can have any surname, that won't make any difference. Like even kind of incorporation company, you can have your listed share on stock exchange.
Oh, great. So listing
Yeah.
requirement must be different before, as a normal company, I wish to go for listing, then probably I will need to take approval from Security Exchange Board.
Yes, yes. There are set of steps and procedures in place. First of all, every corporation has to comply the financial regulations. If they certainly meet those criteria, then they have to proceed with the local
Hmm.
stock exchange, then the federal level stock exchange to have their shares listed.
Okay. And what is the process of company registration? How exactly it works? How long it will take? What documents we need to submit?
Yeah, so in case of provincial, like being a non-resident, I would say like if we are talking about only like a
Yeah.
non-resident is our like our audiences right now.
Yeah.
So they are like mainly concerned like what kind of documents or like information they have to share with us to have a setup in Ontario. So in that case, like we just need like the basic details like the director's details, like including their personal details like their name, date of birth, addresses, not Canadian addresses actually, like across like wherever they live, it doesn't matter. Their
Hmm.
email addresses and also their personal details. Once we have that details, then we have to have their business activity details, like what exact business they would like to have in Canada. So accordingly, we have to choose their like NAIS, ICS. So it's a kind of North American industry classification. So code. So we have to select code accordingly, like which industry it falls, like let's say IT or construction or you know some different trucking. So we have to classify accordingly. So once we will have all the information in place, and there is a time between, like let's say if we have initiated a process, it should take 4 to 5 working days from there. And once we have submitted our application, then it will take 3 working days for the provincial government to process it. So once
Okay.
we will have that set up, they will issue a business number. So once you will have the business number, you can have that registered with the, like just similar to the income tax department in India, it's Canada Revenue Agency here in uh, Canada. So you have
Yeah.
to register every setup further, like local sales tax registration and all such. You have to proceed with thereafter.
So how long it will take me to go live from registration to tax number to bank account opening? How long it will take?
If everything is like available, like every information is available with us, it would be like 7 to 10 working days at max.
Great, great. And what about bank account? So as a non-resident, can I open bank account virtually, or do I need to visit Canada and then open the bank account?
So there are some restrictions to have a business bank account or personal bank account while sitting abroad, but fortunately, like ICICI Bank having branches in Canada, SBI having branches in Canada, so they are assisting certainly to have clients on board while sitting in India. So
Great.
let's say your local branch, any local branch manager you can meet there, they will share their details, and we have tie-ups here in ICIC. So they will
Right.
share all the procedural aspect with that concerned branch manager, and they will help to facilitate the signing and everything to
Great.
have your bank
Great.
account while sitting in Canada.
Great. Okay. And what challenges you see typically? What, because you are handling large number of incorporation, large number of clients. So what challenges, what awareness a non-resident should have before entering into Canadian market?
Yeah, like it's always advisable, like if a client is would like to have a setup in Canada, it's always advisable they should learn more, like what kind of compliances they have to follow every year, because there is legal compliance and taxation compliance. Even though you're like let's say you have incorporated business in Ontario or federal level, so if you have incorporated once, every year you have to file their taxes, even though there is no business activity. It's a legal requirement. So once you have that setup in place, it's always advisable, like if you know like you are going to have something in place, you are starting your business activities, then only pursue. Otherwise, don't just go and have a setup and start after 1 or 2 years, because it's just a waste of your resources. because you have to
Yeah,
pay like hefty compliances fee and tax filing fee, so it's not advisable at all.
understood. And what about Bija? Let's say I have a company, I have a team running my business. So will that ease my Bija processing, or no? Bija will remain processing will remain difficult for Indian resident.
So as far as immigration is concerned, like I'm not familiar with the immigration rules and regulations. Certainly, there's different aspects.
Yeah,
Like, but I'm not familiar with actually like with the immigration process, like how it could help. But certainly, it would help you while having a business visas. So, like having a setup in Canada and having business activities in Canada and being a director, it will certainly help you in one way or the other.
understood. And what
Yeah.
about GST? So how GST works in Canada? Like in India, we have monthly, quarterly compliance. So is it similar in Canada or it's different?
Yes, so it varies. Like, let's say it all depends upon the revenue of your business. Let's say if you're having a certain threshold which your business has crossed, and then you have to do quarterly, otherwise you have to do annual returns filings, otherwise you have to do quarterly. Like it's called sales tax actually.
Hmm.
In It's HST, harmonized sales tax. So what actually Canadian taxation is little different if we are comparing with India. So India is like having a flat like GST, or like CST, I think. I'm not
GST.
sure about the classification of two things.
Yeah. So we have two
GST,
IGST and state tax SGST.
yes, yes. So, but in Canada, they are having GST. It's 5% flat across all the provinces. Like they
Okay.
will charge 5%. But there is a portion of called PST, like provincial sales tax. So in that case, every province having their different sales tax rates. Ontario having 8%, then BC having different rates, other provinces having different rates. It
Okay.
varies. So like in total, combination of local like provincial sales tax and GST called HST. It's called harmonized sales tax. So total 13% here, what we are charging in Ontario.
Okay.
So yeah, so it all depends like how much your revenue is overall of the company. So then let's say in the very first year, it's always annual because
Got
you
it.
have to report it very first time. So let's say you're crossing a certain threshold. Let's say it's 3,000 or more HST payable. Then they are asking you to pay it quarterly basis. If it's
Understood.
like more than a certain threshold, then they will ask you to pay monthly even.
Got it.
Yeah.
And what about export of services? For example, I have a software company and I'm exporting from Canada to US, Canada to Europe. So in that case, I believe there should be no state tax and GST. Uh,
Yes, there is exemption of taxes because there's no exportation of taxes while you're exporting.
right, right.
Yeah.
And what about, let's say, for an example, I have certain income in Canada and I wanted to transfer to India. So will that attract any deduction locally? Likewise, in India, we have TDS, or how it works basically, remittance of, or maybe payment to vendor, how exactly it works.
So payment to vendor has like there is no limitations as long as like you're having services from them and you're getting invoices from them and you're making early payments against those services. That's no concern, but the only challenge is like you have to have withhold taxes. Like let's say you're issuing payments to somebody and they don't have any setup in Canada. And in
Hmm.
that case, Canadian government imposing or CRA is asking you to withhold 25% whatever you're remitting across border.
Okay.
So otherwise you have to take like a preemptively you have to take a certificate from CRA agent like agency. So they will give you, okay, so with the given scenario, okay, this much tax is not 25%, it's only 6% or 10. So deduct only this much and rest you can release the payment. So that's subjective always. Like whenever you're expatriating the funds or like you're transferring from Canadian company to any company across the border, then you have to see like it's subjective every time.
Okay. So in
You
case
have to
of
look
purchase
into
of services, in case there is a purchase of goods, there should be no deduction, no withholding taxes.
right, yeah.
And what about repatriation of profit? Let's say I have a profit in Canada, I wanted to transfer to India. Will that attract any dividend tax? Like in India, earlier we had dividend tax for foreigner, now it has been removed. So what about Canada? How it works?
So there is no like dividend kind of tax. It's like once you will have that income in Canadian company, when Canadian company has already paid taxes, they can issue dividends to their shareholders.
Okay.
So
As a
that
shareholder, I
income.
can withdraw profit.
Yes. So likewise, like as I said, like any income you are withdrawing, being a shareholder will attract that limitation again, 25% withholding. Like let's say you're sending up income across border, then you have to hold back 25% unless until you go back to the CRA. Okay, this is not this much because he didn't earn that much. Then they will, okay, as per the calculations whatever you have proposed with the given information you have in hand, so they will ask, okay, deduct 10% or 6% or 9%, whatever, and
Got
release
it.
rest of the funds.
So there is no slab for particular expenses or particular heads.
So
It's after discussion of CRA.
let's say if shareholder withdrawal, it's always a marginal tax rate. It's like these are the slabs for individual tax rates.
Hmm.
So whatever applicable to the individual tax slabs, it varies every year, and it
Hmm.
varies province to province.
Okay.
Like provincial taxes are different. Federal, like as I said, like federal taxes are across all the provinces are same, but there's a portion, like in case of income tax as well, in case of sales tax as well, there's a portion of provincial and federal taxes. So the provincial taxes varies in case of personal taxes as well, and in case of sales taxes as well.
Got it. And what about compliances, annual compliances, audit? What is the audit requirement? Is there any exemption for audit?
Yeah, like as long as you're having there's certain threshold, like up to $500,000. If it's like any company having up to $500,000 Canadian, then that would be treated as a small business corporation. So there are like less restrictions, compliances as compared to having a big setup and more filings. And as long as you will have more revenue, the compliances will be more, like having set up every, like if you have more employees in Canada as well, the payroll compliances are different and they are more recurring in case of more employees. So it's monthly rather than quarterly or yearly. So yeah, it varies. It all depends
Got
like how much like what scale of business you are having in Canada. So
got it.
it's a progressive tax structure country. So you have more income or more disposable income, the tax, will be increased gradually. Low
Got it.
income attracts less tax.
Got it. So yeah, because if taxes is deducted in Canada, then of course we'll get credit in India because there is
Yes,
a agreement between both countries.
treaties. Yeah.
So for user, there is no tax losses. And
Yes.
compliance, you said that audit requirement there is exemption. That's really good for early stage companies. And
Right.
Harpreet, any final remark that you would like to comment for our audience?
Yeah, like I would like to highlight, like anyone who would like to wish to proceed having a setup in Canada, we are always welcome to assist them anytime, any questions they may have. The queries or questions they would have, like there is no cost at all. They can ask anything, and we will certainly address all the concerns and questions they may have. And the only advice I would say, like if you have plans in short run, like let's say 6 months or 6 months or maximum 1 year to start your business activity, then certainly proceed with the incorporation before in hand, having that setup in place. But if you're planning to just have a company setup and don't want to have business activity sooner or later, then you should better check with us before incorporating your business, because it will having you pay annually every year in terms of tax filings, compliance, and everything.
Thanks, Harpreet. Thanks for giving your insight and expert knowledge. As we were discussing about company setup in Canada, along with the compliances, taxes, all information we have covered. Still, any of our audience has any question, please comment on our channel. You can also write to us. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harpreet. Thank you for your time.
No problem, Komal. Thank you for having me.
Good night. Good night. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah, take care. Bye.